yourself at home thing, really. It's good.
Yeah.
Special guest.
Yeah.
Special guest, welcome to Bottle. Are we rolling with this? Bottle Expected? The
Bottle
opposite-
Expected working title, but
Working
it's the title that we've been working on for a while. I mean, we haven't really come up with anything better.
I know if you can come up with a better title for this podcast, you're more than welcome
Yeah,
to.
you're in the content game.
Okay.
You know how to brand
Alright.
things.
We have special guest here, Alana K,
Hello, hello.
aka the Wine Wench.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We've just done some blind tasting
Yep.
here. How did you think you fared?
Really not good. I'm very happy, I have to say, to be back in my hometown, home country, drinking Australian Grenache because the blind tasting we just did was really out of my comfort zone, which is amazing. We've all got to get out of our comfort zone every now and then. But it was all international bangers, some great wines, some really interesting, different stuff. I was way off on most of the pricing. But yeah, it was good fun.
Are
I
you
loved it.
surprised with how high the pricing is?
Yes. But, well, yes and no. Surprised because I wouldn't pay it. But I know there are people out there who would pay it. And I think it's just the label of international still has such an appeal to a lot of people. And they don't put Australian wines in the same category in their minds of quality. And I just kind of feel like that's incorrect.
Yeah, well, that's something that you talk a lot about, Brendo, which is I think the only way that we're ever going to be Australian wines will be put on that pedestal is if they do start getting recognition from people who aren't Australians. Then all of a
100%.
sudden Australians will be like, oh no, this is, the French are drinking it. We want to drink more of it as well. And then they'll start paying those premium prices because at the moment
100%.
you think about like very expensive Aussie wine and it's either very old, very prestigious or very limited. Whereas I don't feel
Yes.
like we necessarily have the same amount of reverence for quality sometimes when it comes to Aussie wines. You know what I mean?
And then understanding what like quality can be also quite a nebulous term, and luxury or product placement could be a really sort of nebulous term. But I was really excited to have you on today, Alana, because literally every time I go to like another event, I get sort of wound up into having a conversation about like next gen engagement in wine.
I thought you were going to say every time I go to an event, I see you there and I hide in the corner. Like, get away from me.
Well, I do because I'm somewhat intimidated by you because you have
Please.
such incredible bravery. Like we're here in the comfort of our own studio.
It's an amazing
You know.
studio, by the way. Never been here before.
Thank you.
It's a nice spot.
Loving it.
It's not a bad spot.
Good setup.
It's
You
the
guys
best
are nailing
studio
it.
that we've had. We didn't invite you when we were doing it in the tin shed in the farmhouse. That was that was tough
horrible.
times. That was tough times.
But I see you off an event and you'll pull out this like whole tripod setup and you're just like bang, like you're on. You're able to sort of easily get, I wouldn't say into character because having met you a few times, you are you. You're very genuine, very authentic. And we've never really sort of operated in any of the sort of vertical or short form sort of media factors. But I keep finding myself in conversations with people about like, why don't the next generation love wine? And for me, I kind of sit back in YouTube world and kind of go, actually, the next generation really does love wine. It's just we're so obsessed with media outlets. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're all fantastic. We love them. But young people don't acquire those same magazines or industry journals anymore. And we're having a bit of a mash-up, a mix-up of what's going on with just media globally. And I reference you. I'm like, well, this is media. This is how people get their information now. But I've never actually known how you kind of popped up.
Yeah.
And then you were popping up at all different... Often we will... And I don't mean to sound like derogatory in any kind of way, but like influencer is both a good and a bad description. And the Instagram platform certainly brings out a lot of different characters. But then you're uniquely different. You actually mix with the industry. You actually engage with the industry. A lot of heavy hitters in the industry and a lot of people, a lot of credibility. And you've garnered... due to sheer work and bravery, a large amount of credibility in a very short period of time, which fascinates me because we need more people like you. But how did you, when did it happen? How did it start?
So it's interesting that you say that I popped up because I've actually been in the wine industry for 10 years.
No way.
I've just been in Adelaide for 2. So I'm from New South Wales.
No way.
Yeah.
We got one.
Oh, and you've got me for life. I
Love
fucking
SA.
love it here. I mean, McLaren Val Grenache has always been my favourite wine of
Amen.
choice
Period.
forever.
Amen.
Period. But so yeah, I've always had, and South Australia's always been the home of Australian wine, and always in my brain, I'm like, I've got to get there. But I was kind of stuck in New South Wales, such a slog. But eventually, yeah, I came here for work. I was headhunted and came here for a job. But the journey to wine has been kind of curly. And I don't know if you know this about me, but my background is in acting.
No way.
So I have a BA honours in acting from drama school in London. So
I am way more intimidated now.
No. Don't be. But I studied and lived in London and worked in London as an actor for a while, and then moved back to Sydney. I got my little heart broken and moved back to Sydney, and which is where I was living at the time. And I actually, I'm coming back to Sydney, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a shoo-in. I've studied in London, Australians are going to love me. But actually it was the opposite, because, we have that kind of tall poppy
Horrible.
chip on your shoulder kind of thing.
Yeah.
They weren't like, oh my God, you've studied at London, we love you. It was, well, why didn't you study at our drama schools? Are they not good enough for you?
Doing the whole Boston.
Fucking NIDA actors coming out.
Literally.
Of the woodwork.
I was like,
Yeah.
well, actually, no.
Whopper. Jesus
NIDA and
Christ.
Whopper wasn't good enough for me. I had big dreams and I just went to London and made them happen.
I love that how you own that. That's so
Yeah.
good.
But it unfortunately kind of put a black mark against my name, I guess. So I got an agent and I was doing a little bit of work here and there. I did a lot of ads, which make money, but they're not the dream.
Any
right?
ads we would know?
Potentially, when the Olympics was on, I did a Macca's ad, which was really fun for the tennis.
Wait.
Okay. Like,
Alana.
Whoa, take a beat.
So I was under the impression that you were like 35 years old. The Olympics were in the year 2000.
There's been more than one Olympics. I'm not talking about the Sydney Olympics.
Sorry, I didn't realize that we were doing it like that. Okay, which Olympics are we talking?
Sorry. It was the Tokyo Olympics.
Tokyo Olympics. So that's 2016?
Yeah.
2020, or 2021.
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe it wasn't Tokyo then. The one before that.
London 2012.
Rio.
Rio 2016.
Rio 2016.
Okay, so you're in the Macca's Rio.
I was in the Macca's Rio ad. It was for
We
the
gotta
tennis.
find that. We gotta find
Oh,
that.
don't worry. When I'm editing
He's
this,
on it. No, we're on it.
it's going to be playing on screen over the top of this right now.
So it was for the tennis, and I was the Macca's chick. And hilariously, they had to have me stand on a box because I was too short to be behind the counter. And there were these two guys, and they were like looking back and forth at each other because it was to do with the tennis. Anyway, and I was just standing there, and I was like, "Who's ordering?" Anyway, it was wild. But these ads pay a lot of money, but it's not the dream, right?
It's not why you go study in London, is to come back and
Exactly
sell
right.
burgers. Not quite.
No. But so to stay, there's also a praise mayonnaise ad, which was hilarious too. You'll probably find that one more likely than you'll find the Macca's one. Anyway,
This is such a plot twist. I love
I
this
know.
plot twist.
I told you my journey was curly.
Absolutely.
Super curly.
Cool.
But to stay in the industry, while I was going to theatre a lot, just, meeting people and trying to stay in the loop. And I thought, well, why not write about it? So I started a theatre reviewing platform.
Yep.
My own blog, and I was reviewing theatre. I was paying for the tickets and just going. I was going to the theatre anyway. Why not write about it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of got headhunted, and this guy made me his primary reviewer for his platform that already had kind of a decent following. So I became his reviewer. Then I started work at a food blog as an internship, and then that kind of led to more consistent work. And then I was into food writing for a long time. And actually, this is a great story. So while I was working at the food blog, I saw this job advertised for a food writer for a magazine. The magazine was the ad was very vague. It was like men's magazine, looking for a food writer, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, yeah, I'll do that. I would go for an interview."
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't say much. It was just like, we're looking for a food writer, 8 to 10 pages per magazine, comes out monthly.
It's a lot of pages.
Yeah, but I was like, sick. I'd love to work in printed mags.
Yeah.
And why not? So I went along to the interview, but again, no kind of mention of who they were.
Yeah.
And I opened the door, and there is very scantily clad women all over the walls.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Is this? I'm trying to think of which magazine this would have been, because they've dropped off a little bit lately, and I assume because the internet's really come for their market. But
Yeah.
I have one question. What food are they writing about in these magazines? I'm just
Right?
curious.
So this was at the time when these men's magazines were trying to diversify and kind of, they had like a political section, they had like the food section, they had a health section, they still had the, gorgeous women, but it was kind of mixed in with the actually like modern man stuff
Right,
kind of thing.
okay. Like
yeah.
GQE. Sort of.
Reading it for the articles.
Yes,
Like, babe,
yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
I didn't even.
That was the tagline.
Yeah.
So I walk in and I text my mum and I was like, oh my God, this magazine is Penthouse.
Penthouse magazine. Let's go. That would have been.
Dude, did you get it?
Yeah.
No shit.
You're writing
the
food for
food
Penthouse.
writer.
Yeah.
Unreal.
What?
I know, isn't this fucking wild? But straight after I text my mum, I was like, oh my God, this magazine is Penthouse. And she wrote back, do not take off your clothes. And I was like, obviously not, mum. It's not going to happen.
That's not the move.
So I got the job and I was writing for Penthouse. I was their food writer. So I had like 8 to 10 pages. They would give me like the theme and then I'd go off and interview people. And it was it wasn't just Australian. They wanted like an international focus too. Like there was one really cool segment that I did, which was about food and music and how sounds and song can affect or change the way you taste things, which I also think is relevant to wine.
Yeah,
That's
big
another
time.
But there was this, there was this whole segment that I wrote about Heston's restaurant where he was having people listen to barnyard sounds while eating fish, and then listening to the ocean while eating chicken.
Yep.
And then barnyard with chicken and and how like it affected the taste and the flavor, and like his whole philosophy on that was fucking so cool.
Yeah.
And hilariously, the 8 pages were in the middle of the magazine. So I was the centerfold.
You're the Penthouse centerfold.
I was the Penthouse centerfold. I know. And my grandma, what a fucking legend. She was running around telling everyone her granddaughter was the
Penthouse centerfold.
Did she do the proud grandma thing where she went out and bought a bunch of copies?
Yes.
Unreal.
Yes.
Wouldn't
Yes.
that how fantastic?
Imagine being
is
the
that?
news agency where you've just got this older lady coming in and being
sweet
like,
old lady being
buying
like, my
them up.
granddaughter's in this. And she knew what she was doing too. She wasn't like explaining my granddaughter is the food writer.
Oh,
She was
yeah.
like, my granddaughter is in Penthouse.
A mission of fact.
Of course.
Just
Of course.
hysterical.
Sounds better.
It does.
Yeah,
She knew what she
100%.
was doing.
That's
Yeah.
elite. So theatre first,
Theatre
and then
first, then
started moving
food.
into food, and
Yeah.
then I feel like once you're writing about food, it's not that
hop
far of a
step.
hop, skip, and a
It's
jump
really
to end
not.
up in the wine game.
The kind of way it worked for me was it got to the point where it was that time in food where everyone had a camera phone and everyone was taking a photo of their meal and being a critic.
Yeah.
And it was before kind of the influencer movement. But everyone could still take a photo of their burger and be like, not juicy enough or juicy. But so then I was like, I kind of felt like I couldn't make my way forward in food because I'm not vegan, so I couldn't kind of like specialize in that way. I didn't want to just write about dessert. I kind of wanted to keep it broad, but I couldn't find my way. So then I started thinking, well, what's like food that I can still kind of analyze and do in that way. And that's kind of how I moved into wine. So this was about not quite 10 years ago, about 9 years ago.
And
moving into wine.
But you've been headhunted at this point and brought over to South Australia. So
Yeah.
this was all SA-based wine stuff that you started writing?
No. So the Wine Wench has been going for about 8 years.
Right.
So I started that 8 or 9 years. I started that at this point when I was looking at food and being like, I don't know where to go. So I actually got the Wine Wench domain name. I got the Instagram. I kind of had this vision of what I wanted, but I didn't know anything about wine except what I liked to drink, which is a great place to start.
It's a really good place to
But
start.
I, had a bit of imposter syndrome and I was like, well, I can't talk about wine if I don't know about it. So I got a job in the industry. I started working at a wine company as a copywriter. And they put me through some WACT training. And then from there, I was like, okay, great. I can start writing and talking about this now. So that's when I started my blog, The Wine Wench, and Instagram. So that's I was doing that for years in New South Wales. And then that got me noticed here. And that's kind of when I got brought to South Australia about 2 years ago.
So who brought you to South Australia?
So National Wine Centre.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so I was working there last year.
What,
They
so
brought me over.
someone at National Wine Centre saw the Wine Wench.
Yeah.
It was like, that's our gal.
That's what we
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
So how long were you there for?
Just last year, just for 1 year. Yeah. We all kind of hoped it would go a bit longer, but they kind of were going in a different direction, and I was kind of struggling to get through what I wanted to get through, and I think I wanted to make a lot of change that they weren't ready for, which is fair enough. They're doing their thing and they have hoops they need to jump through as an institution and stuff as well.
It's quite a complex, the whole National Wine Centre thing, and who owns it, who runs it,
Yeah,
how
it is.
things get sort of shifted and changed. It
Yeah.
sort of limits the whole enterprise, I feel.
100%. And I think it has incredible potential.
Yeah.
And I think it's not living up to what it was built for. I think it's had different phases throughout its lifetime. And I think if you think National Wine Centre, I don't think you think of what it is at the moment. You know what I mean? And that's not a slight on them. They have bills to pay, but they're kind of, at the moment, their focus is conferencing, events, a corporate kind of stuff. And they did bring me on to try and change that. But I was kind of just met with a lot of challenges that didn't look like they were going to be overcome.
Yeah, change management
in the next kind of year or so.
It's one of the things that when we were coming up with what we wanted to do with the venue up here at Gumaraka, and we ended up coming up with this bottle shot concept, blind wine tasting, having all of these different wines that people can come in and compare. We were talking about where else in South Australia could you do this? And first of all, we were like, well, there's nowhere you can really. It took us a long time to sort of be like, we've got the National Wine Centre in town, but it does very much so. Like, they've got the Unwind bar there, which, does have a lot of wines on the, not Coravin system, but the Enomatic system. But it doesn't really jump out as something that you think about as being a real, tourism spot necessarily.
No.
It's very much so, as you're saying, like that conferencing. It's a venue to come and host things.
Centre. It's a very beautiful building.
It's gorgeous building, and it was like architecturally designed to look like a wine barrel, which is why it's got that beautiful curving wood
Tucked behind trees that you can't see from North Terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to we were down there for an event the other day, and was talking to a mate of mine who's involved in politics, and I was talking to him about exactly that. Like, a beautiful building, wish it was more noticeable and more seen. And he was saying that there's all of these elements of South Australia in throughout the building, like the big sort of ochre walls.
The redstone walls, like that Coonawarra Tarrarossa kind of. It has elements of it, but then no one knows about them, and they're also not utilising them for wine to be a wine centre.
But they're also not very motivated. Like, the businesses that are in there aren't really motivated to do anything about it because they've got other shit to worry about.
And it's so interesting because somebody saw me and went, we need her for the wine centre. We need her energy.
Is that person still there?
Yeah, they are.
Well, that's good.
It is good, and in, like, I would say in the last 5 years, there has been at the wine centre a real kind of overhaul of upper management people kind of coming in with new energy and new ideas. There is something stopping that energy and those ideas from actually making any change. I'm in.
Purge, let's go.
ready.
Pitchforks and shovels, let's go.
Yeah.
So what would, in your, if you were given the keys to the kingdom, we've done the purge, what would be the first three things that you do to start activating? Because, in the industry, we're very, I don't know, it's a mixed bag. So people are either extremely optimistic or they are a bit doom and gloomy about it and wanting to, how do we engage with this next audience? And, Instagram, we're doing our thing on YouTube. That's been the avenue that we're taking.
Yeah.
But if you are the National Wine Centre, you're the sort of flag calling point for it, what would be three things that you would try and get going there? Like, what would be the steps you would take?
Well, I think collaboration is key. I think, don't just sit on your laurels and expect people to come to you because of the name that you have. I think rely on the community to help you spread the word. Bring in you guys, shoot a couple of episodes down in the cellar. Or make the cellar your new home, and you have it for 2 days a month or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's your location, and you kind of give that a plug. Hey, we're at the National Wine Centre. Talk to the somms there, or I think having that community feel and kind of just not resting on your laurels that because you have this name, people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
Kind of just be aware that you might not make as much money for the next little while. Put a plan in place, but kick all the weddings out, kick all the conferences out, go back to what you were designed for, which is to be a wine centre nationally. It's not the Adelaide Wine Centre.
No.
So we have an incredible representation of Australian wines there. I think something like 60 of the 65 Australian regions are represented in the cellar and in the wine bar. But shout that from the rooftops. Like, where else can you go?
It's funny you talk about
You
like
know?
the name, like National Wine Centre is not exactly a place where I think of it like a museum. I think of it like it's
Yes,
like a state
that's the other
government,
thing I
like
would
a
do.
thing. It's sort
Yeah.
of, I'd see it less so as a place where I want to go party and drink. And
look,
it's a bit weird.
they have a brand to uphold, and they're not trying to become the party center. Like prior to my time, they would do these champagne events or whatever, and Mum was the partner, and it would just be big piss ups on the lawn, and like that's really fun, and they would get a lot of people in, but they ended up saying that's quite off brand for them.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I think there's a middle ground because now they've gone too far the other way, where they're doing these pretty intense masterclasses with incredible legends of wine in Australia, but they're kind of pitching
inaccessible.
It's inaccessible. They're pitching it at a price point and at a theming that potentially curious wine drinkers are going to go and feel intimidated by.
Yeah.
So creating more wine events where people feel included and welcomed, and not just like we're just getting the big guns in because we need to sell these tickets to make money, that kind of thing.
Yeah. As Brendan was saying, I'm involved in tasting events, and I see you at literally every tasting event that I've ever been involved in. Oh, hey, welcome back. I've got my own ideas about this, but I'm curious to know for you, what makes a great wine tasting event? Like, different producers coming together, pouring their stands. What do you see as the things that make them really successful versus some that can sometimes fall a little bit flat? Have you got any sort of thoughts on that, given how many you attend?
I do. But also keep in mind, I'm industry as well. I'm not just consumer. So
Yes, of course.
my view is a little skewed on that versus if you got just somebody who's a wine lover in to talk to you about what they enjoy about events. I really love when an event has an educational element, but that's approachable, or like it's not ticketed, it's not sit down, it's not, wanky and stuffy, but it's like these masterclasses are happening. Or you don't even call it a masterclass, but like these wine chats are happening. Brendan, Brendan's going to be there. Henry's going to be there. Like we're just going to be having a chat with this cool dude who makes great wine. And kind of you can pop in, pop out, or even like, the import taste guys who are, they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to wine, but they're paired with somebody who knows a little bit more about wine. So the audience doesn't feel so isolated.
Yeah.
When one of them makes a comment like, tastes like grapes, because, that's probably what someone in the audience was thinking too.
Oh, 100%.
So and I just think people are so curious. They want to learn, in my experience, but it's just about, we haven't quite found that sweet spot of how we teach them.
Yeah.
I think we're getting there, and I think not one of us in this kind of communicating social media, YouTube world has nailed it yet in terms of 100%, but we're all trying, and maybe with our powers combined, we can come together and find exactly the right way to teach people the way they want to be taught.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing, isn't it? That's the thing that we sort of noticed is about like the way they want to be taught. And the wine industry still treats people like Wikipedia did, like pre-Wikipedia, pre-phones. That you need to be dictated to, that learning doesn't happen unless I've given it to you, as opposed to the fact that, most young people, if they have a question, they just Google it. Like it's very much self-driven learning.
Yeah.
And curiosity drives
100%.
learning. And so the trick is to spark curiosity and then have the avenue at which they can actually self-learn.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, that the whole sort of inception behind the Bottle Shock bar.
Yeah.
Was like, we won't teach you anything. You actually will teach yourself.
Yes. And I think that's such an
yeah.
incredible concept. And I think also it kind of comes back to what you were saying at the beginning, is like we still have those traditional media outlets, the Hallidays, the Australian, we still have those for people who want them. But I'm finding fewer and people who want them. Or who
because they're dying,
because they're,
Alana.
Yeah,
they're very old.
Literally.
They're literally dying. They're, and they know that. Like they're not blind to that.
No.
They're really quite aware of that. And I think it's become like more stark now. But it seems in the last 12 months, I think it started to come home to roost. We're seeing Halliday do some really cool stuff with podcasts, getting out into digital media, but then we're seeing a more significant rise of people like yourself, or Brendan Robnick, the Wine Animal. And less, maybe like the rise of more learned people who are actually have a lot more industry cred that are on these platforms, as opposed to just pretty people
and pretty bottles, pretty people, pretty bottles. Here's a selfie of me, and that, like, totally fine if that's what they want to do. Again, I've said this before, I'm not going to yuck your yum if that's what you do. But the reason I didn't start the Wine Wench right when I had the idea was because I wanted some credibility in myself. I didn't want to just be posting those photos to be like, this wine is good, you should drink it. Like, I wanted to be able to explain why I thought it was good and why I thought you might like it and what food it might go with and what music pairing. I just wanted to give myself the credibility. So I had some self-worth in that regard. And that has kind of served me, you know, but it also, like, it reflects in my follower count. Like, I only have 4,500 or whatever, but the followers I do have are very engaged and they know what they're getting from me, as opposed to some of these other influencers type of people who have 10,000, 20,000 people followers, you know, and I go down rabbit holes about that, and I'm like, should I just buy followers? You know, brands want eyeballs and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day,
you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, that's always what I come back to. Just, you know, so everyone's aware. I always come back to no, but I have these niggling moments where I'm like, well, why does she have double, triple the followers that I do? But I actually believe more in my content and what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But I think it's interesting that Halliday is only now starting to come around to that digital touch, you know, with the podcasts and stuff. And I mean, I think it comes down to who is in the hot seat and who has the ability to make those decisions. I'm glad that they're doing it. I think it's awesome. I think Halliday's been such a big name in wine that it's never going to go away, even after he carks it. The brand is still going to be there forever. And unfortunately, consumers who don't have a huge amount of education are still going to lean towards that for validation.
It's credibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got a really good name. They've built that, you know, over a long period of time.
They do. And again, he didn't pop up overnight. He worked really hard for that, and he did his, you know,
those eyebrows take a lot of growth.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, and it's the I think
low hanging fruit on that one.
It's the simplicity of, like, that sort of Halliday, like, scoring things. People crave that sort of
vanity metric.
Yeah,
100%,
like
100%.
Points, tick, 5 stars, this, that. And I think that's one of the things that I find so challenging. And it, you know, we just experienced it when we were doing our tastings together, where Brendan's super high, loves this Etna Rosso, like, perfect wine for him. I cannot stand that sort of wine. So where does that fit with, you know, wine reviewing and that sort of space? And when you're talking about having 4,500 followers who have a piece of you and know what you're about, I think when you're in sort of a game like wine, where it is so subjective in so many instances, that is kind of the best way to go about it, especially from a consumer's point of view.
Yeah.
Is find someone who you can align your own personal taste with, someone that you've that has gained your trust over a period
100%.
of time, and then you follow
And we see
them.
this on our channel, like, all the time.
Yeah, you guys
where
would as
people,
well.
Like, especially with, say, Henry and I, and there's all sorts of little meta levels between sort of the stuff that we do that we think about. And no doubt you're the same. You sort of, like, probably overthink it a little bit on, you know, on my end. But, like, having us disagree on camera yet still be friendly is another little just a meta thing that, if we can showcase that visually to another person, they go, oh shit, so it is okay to not like a wine. 100%, dude. It is absolutely okay to not like a wine.
Yeah.
And the end result, what we're trying to do, especially for the audience of, like, new people who are, like, wine curious, we just want them to be confident to try it again.
100%.
We just got to get them to 1.
Yeah.
And they tend to kind of do their own thing after that. But just getting them from 0 to 1 is one of the hardest little things.
I agree with you fully. And, like, a lot of what I want to do is just get people to think about a different variety or a different producer when they're going to a bottle shop, you know? Okay, so you know you like Pinot, you know you drink it from the Yarra, but have you tried Adelaide Hills? Here's a beautiful version. Here's what it kind of tastes like, a real general umbrella. If you like this, you might like that. Next time you're in a bottle shop, why not be brave enough to try it? If you don't like it, no harm done. right? But just be curious and try it.
What are your biases? Like, do you have like self-awareness
So
of the
many.
things that you're like, these are the things that I actually love, and I will just, if I'm asked to score it, I'm just gonna go off on a tangent.
Well, I mean, this tasting that we just did is a pure example of that. Like, I am biased towards Australian wine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I said 12 bottles of any of those. I think the max I said was 6.
Yeah.
I think my max price was 70. Like, I'm biased towards Australian wine because that is what I drink all the time. It's what I've been brought up on. Not that I was drinking wine before it was legal.
Of course not.
Are there things you dislike?
Yes.
And that's all I've got to say about that.
Yes. So interestingly, actually, I dislike Australian Shiraz.
Yeah, reasonable.
Any particular reason?
Yeah.
It's how it tastes. you
How it
see.
tastes. It's got something to do with the flavor.
Yeah.
Has something to do. Yeah.
So is it the flavor? Is it the alcohol? Is it the extract? Is it the association with certain demographics?
It's kind of all of the above, to be honest.
Interesting.
And I had my mind kind of altered on this last year. I went on a famil in McLaren Vale. And it was like a 3-day kind of intensive thing all about McLaren Vale, and we tried all sorts of different wines. And like I said at the beginning of the pod, McLaren Vale Grenache is my
Top
ultimate, like desert island, top tier. Put me in a bath with
You're
a straw. Like, thank you. But so I was going there thinking like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna drink so much Grenache. Like, I love this. But actually, we did an incredible McLaren Vale Shiraz masterclass at Matolo, and it brought all these Shirazes from around the Vale, different, Blewett Springs, all like just a whole bunch of different. We had a few different brackets, and it really blew my mind. And it was a real reminder to stop putting Shiraz in a box in the corner, gathering dust that says "I don't like this" on the top of it.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I don't like Shiraz because I think Barossa Shiraz equates Australian Shiraz, which is what hundreds of Australian wine consumers are guilty of.
Yeah.
Or even
Heaps, yeah.
Internationally.
internationally as well,
100%.
right?
Absolutely.
They go, I don't like Australian wine because all I've had is Shiraz from Barossa, or all I've had is Chardonnay from Hunter, or whatever. And so I was guilty of putting Shiraz in a box because of that. And so this was a real reminder of me to go, stop that, get that box out of the corner, dust it off.
There's some people that say that they don't like Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Just haven't tried enough.
But Chardonnay I also put in that category because I'm not a lover of it. What I tend to go towards is interesting alternatives.
Let us tell you about an alternative that's made in Australia.
Please.
We need to go get a bottle of that.
Oh, the pink zinc? Is that what you're talking? Or which one in particular?
I'm going to show you something you've guaranteed never tried before.
Please.
But it is, I think it's kind of funny as well because Noah absolutely hates McLaren Vale Shiraz for the most part as well.
Yeah, he's completely off it. He's completely off it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the beautiful thing about the wine game is that it is so varied and so broad.
Yeah,
but we do
100%.
fall into those. It's like the desire to find patterns
Yeah.
that humans have. Like, you try a few things and you make a decision, then you can have an opinion, you can stick by that opinion. Like, Sauv Blanc was the one for me where, like, I don't have like a disdain for the base flavor of that passion fruity Sauv Blanc, but I sort of, fell into the trap of hanging out with wine people and everyone talking about how like that's bad sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you start trying like different interesting examples of it and it opens up your mind a little bit and it's a good time.
For me, I kind of have this thing where if you put all of the kind of noble grapes in front of you, I will find an alternative that I prefer.
To each and every
if you know
one.
what I mean. Like, just, hey, good catch. That's just kind of the way my palate leans and what I like to drink. So, like, Savvy B, I'll go a Grigio. Not that even that's kind of alternative anymore. Or a Fiano. Or Shiraz, I'll do a Grenache. Or a Pinot, I'll do a Gamay. Or, for me, and mostly Italian, to be honest. Italian grapes made in Australia just blow my little mind because that is all I want to drink. I want punch, I want juice, I want acid,
It's interesting. Like, I was talking to Brian Crozer recently. We interviewed him here, and then recently again.
Yeah.
and I was talking about some of what he believed. He said something in the interview that I had to actually re-quiz him on because I wanted to really clarify exactly what he meant. Because when Brian Crozer says something, you kind of have to listen because, like, generally he's right.
Yeah.
And he said something really interesting when I asked him what he believed to be, or if he believed that the best wines in Australia had already been made. And he said yes, vehemently yes. And I was like, which wines? And he started quoting wines from the 70s. And I thought, that's fascinating. So not during the big growth phase of the 80s and the 90s, and definitely nothing in recent years, but, you know, why the 70s? And then he clarified what best meant.
Right.
And I think it really applies to what's happening in wine at the moment. And the reason why also younger generations are moving away from that style of wine. Best for him was... he said, well, the best Australian wine is the most Australian wine we can make. And the most Australian wine we can make is the one that is most relatable to our food and culture. And in the 70s, we had a particular food and culture that those wines paired perfectly with. And the food and the culture has changed since the 70s. You know, less red meat, less potatoes, less pasta, more
variety.
Asiatic cuisines.
Yep.
And that means the wine styles have to change. So as the food and the culture started to change, which is, you know, if you're a millennial and you grew up, you had a very different upbringing to your parents. And Gen Z's another whole sort of level.
Kettle of fish. 100%.
Although like Gen Z's and millennials probably have very similar food culture, it just really changed significantly after the 70s. His view was that when the food and the culture started to shift, was the moment when wines got worse. So even though we got our technical ability up and we were able to mimic styles and do them very well on a technical standpoint, it's like judging best based on a technicality is folly in the world of wine. It's not a commodity. You know, it's a luxury good.
That's a real interesting take.
So I think what we're all talking about comes down to relatability. The best is what you can relate to the most.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it's really hard to relate to Barossa Shiraz. It doesn't take away its legitimacy.
Yep.
You know, because it's just
100%.
built for a world where indeed those people do still live. They are getting older.
Yeah.
But they grew up in a world that was very legitimate.
Yeah.
The service here today, honestly. Noah pulling out wines.
This is fucking brilliant.
Doesn't happen all the time.
Thank you so much.
I didn't
It's
get
just-
one for me, you
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, Simon. Love
just
you.
So you know what you're drinking, maybe. This is the Saint-Germain, which you very kindly brought down alongside your Riesling.
Yep.
Just topped off with soda water, mint muddled in there, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of soda. So yeah, pretty yum-yums, mojito, spritzy vibe.
Vibes. Loving it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Love that.
So
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
there is
much.
aggressive amounts of mint in here.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it.
Not mad about
I'm
it
not
either.
mad about it.
I suppose perfectly timed because we're talking about
is.
things like relatability and
100%.
young people relating to wine, and we were just talking about like Endeavour, the biggest retail group in Australia. In fact, I believe they're actually the most profitable retail group in the world of
Really?
wine. Yeah,
Wowzers.
absolutely.
Good for them.
Yeah.
They put out this data talking about young people and their drinking sort of proclivities.
Yeah.
Spritzes keep coming up time and time again. So it seems like a movement towards wine, but maybe not how we sort of expected it. What do you see? I think you have the beat on what younger people or I say younger people, but it's more like the next generation of drinkers.
The youths.
The youths. The youths, the appropriately aged youths. Yeah.
The youths that are legal of drinking age.
Yeah. 18 to 25
Yeah.
year olds.
Look, I kind of had this idea to do a spritz today because I've just been hearing so much about this spritz culture. It's kind of all over the gram. Endeavour released their...
Good.
Okay.
Shit hot, dude.
That is exactly what I want right now.
And there is this kind of this movement that's happening, and we know it, the data, the trends, yada yada yada. All of the youths are moving away from traditional wine styles. But how do we retain them? How can we keep them drinking wine in a way that is appealing to them? In the
Yes.
same way, how do we keep talking to them in a way that's appealing to them? I think this spritz culture is kind of an embodiment of that. You know, this is part wine, part soda, and a little splash of Saint-Germain with a whole lot of, garnish into it. It's lower alcohol. It's refreshing. It's got the, Italian kind of spritzy vibes on it.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you want to drink this is kind of what I'm thinking. However, I would love to know what you think, because the only spritz that I drink really is Aperol spritz, and that is when I'm pining for Italy. Take me back. And I just want to know, like, are we on the spritz train? Are we into it? Do we get it or do we not? I don't know.
I mean, any way that people can drink more wine,
100%.
I'm
100%.
for. Because when I see, I'm a little bit weird this way, but when I look at a spritz, I still see farmers. You know, there's a farmer who farmed that produce, and so the more that we can get people, you know, onto farmed produce, that's a good thing. I think it's fun. I think, like, what 18 to 25-year-old wants a sermon? Like, do they not want entertainment?
100%.
You know, and I think framing wine is a fun thing. 100%. I think, especially in Australia's got a bit of a unique thing going on at the moment with excise tax, where no political party wants to touch it. It was a very useful tax until it became not useful, and now it's just absolutely punitive.
Yeah.
So spirits industry is in dire straits. You know, cost of living. Young people don't have a lot of disposable income, and it's
Cause he lives, brah.
Cause he lives, and it's bad, especially for spirits. You know,
Yeah.
Beers have a little bit more life, but they're still tied to the same sort of one-way ratchet of a taxation system. But wine, for many reasons, wine decided to get taxed differently based on its value. So you know, finding a $5 beer, even at a retail store, is still very difficult now.
Yeah.
But you'll always find a $5 bottle of wine. What changes is who makes that wine, but taxation won't drive that up. It'll be scale that changes who makes it.
Yeah.
So in terms of alcohol choice, wine is still very much optimal. I see this as a potential way to even, one bottle goes a lot further like this, doesn't it? You know, in terms of drinks.
Yeah,
in terms of like filling your cup up,
and you can
mix
have
it with other
more
stuff.
glasses because it's mixed with soda. I think it's kind of equal parts, or maybe 2 parts wine, 1 part soda, but it's still, you can have more, you can retain your sense of mind.
Yes.
You know, and even have 1 or 2 and still be able to drive, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And I think all of that is appealing to the younger generation because what they're kind of going on, their whole life is based on vibes.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you seen mullet wines? Have you heard about this?
I've heard about them. I have not tried them.
So there's in terms of like looking at people who have the beat on things, I find this move incredibly interesting. So this is fourth wave wine.
Yeah.
So fourth wave wine, for those who don't know, is like a brand powerhouse. So they specialize. They started off importing wine from, say, France. They have like a wine called Le Chat Noir, the Black Cat.
Yeah.
And I think it's Pinot from like a Negociant producer in Languedoc-Roussillon. They put into their own bottle, own branding, and it's like super cheap, like $15. At Dan's, and they almost exclusively now work with Dan's and a few other sort of suppliers.
Yeah.
Moretti's one of their brands as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And that's what's interesting about them, because they'll do like the $15 Pinot, but then they do these pretty heavy hitting, say Barolo, for example.
Yeah.
They do the Wombat one. I'm not sure if you've seen the Wombat Shiraz.
In the squat little bottles.
Little Giant.
Little Giant.
Yeah.
Giant.
You know, so their branding's always really tight.
Yeah.
Their price points are really tight. They know exactly what they're doing. And then they released Mullet.
Yeah.
And I thought it flies 150% in the face of this.
Oh, 100%. It is the complete opposite.
Yeah. So Mullet, big, bold branding gets noticed. It's Chardonnay, 16.5%.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with these guys' work.
Yeah. It's high alcohol, high flavor. Like,
have you got it up?
I just had a look at it. It's basically just selling the same wine and with a different sticker on it.
Right. So
It's like selling like old school traditional
Yeah.
alcohol Australian red wine, white wine, but with a different, more modern label.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether or not this is a loon shot by them or actually informed data, because I find it really fascinating. Like a lot of the discourse around like youth and health, there's like a weird sort of cognitive dissonance where equally that age demographic are the largest consumers of recreational drugs. So I'm not too sure if they're motivated by health necessarily. And then you've got, everyone's gunning for low alcohol. And I'm like, yeah, but then Mullet exists. So how... And they're one of the best brand builders that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they've really got the beat on this kind of stuff. So why are they deciding to run the exact opposite direction when everyone keeps saying low, 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 low?
It's really interesting. And maybe, maybe they've got intel that we don't have on drinkers out there. I mean, we know, the boomers and the X's and the boomers are still kind of leaning towards those traditional styles. So maybe Mullet is kind of just trying to get them.
Yeah, maybe it's not about youth at all.
Maybe the youth are fucked. But-
maybe it's all the boomers that are losing so much money
Yeah.
on. I don't know. Do boomers lose money?
No, they don't.
It's not what I'm hearing.
When they can't get enough from being a landlord,
Yeah.
maybe the tenants aren't paying enough.
Yeah, God.
Got to go to the mullet wines this week.
100%.
You've got a
But-
portfolio. What's this? Oh, yeah,
Saying
them
mullet's looking pretty
landlords.
attractive right now.
Cashing checks, baby. Damn.
Get me a mullet.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't think it's health. I think it's wellness.
Interesting.
I don't think it's a health thing.
How
I think
nebulous.
I
isn't it?
know.
Interesting, but I get it.
But you know what I mean? I don't think health, because they are the drug takers, right? I don't think they're going, this is unhealthy for me, but I think holistically they're like, is this going to add to my wellness of my life?
Cocaine has no calories.
Yeah.
Cocaine has no calories.
Right.
It's good to know.
Right.
Sure do.
Jesus.
I don't know. I think there's a wellness
Public service
thing.
announcement.
Yeah. I think don't do drugs, kids. I think there's a wellness thing in there. I don't think it's explicitly health. I think it's tied into the wellness. Kind
Which
of
is more like
idea
a state of
things.
being, like a vibe.
A vibe, which
yeah.
is what I said. Like Gen Zers are all about the vibe, and this is a fucking vibe.
100%. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I
No
would,
doubt.
maybe I'm on the Spritz train now. Like I would smash this. I wonder.
Who would not be on the spritz train though? Like
The
there's
boomers.
You reckon boomers don't
Yeah.
like spritzes?
Nah. No,
Really?
no.
I mean, my mum loves a little limoncello spritz from time to time.
It's like elderly, like older men.
Oh, yeah, no.
Old white men.
Afraid of,
Old white men.
just being
Oh,
defended
looking
for their
poncy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
But for me,
Fear of it being sweet is another thing.
yeah, for me, it feels like the spritz thing has been like the drink for the last 12 to 18 months.
Agreed.
And I'm not sure if that's going to be the case in another, like if it's one of those trends that sort of sticks around for a little while and then moves on, because it feels like, I don't know, not that long ago, it was G&Ts, like gin and tonics were
Yeah.
like the drink of
Yes.
the weekend sort of thing.
And gin brands were popping up left, right, and centre.
Hey, don't
you
we know that?
Yeah, totally.
But equally, like prior to that, like these things go in swings and roundabouts. Like gin was
Yeah.
grandma's drink, and suddenly
Yes.
it's not.
Yeah.
And also, grandparents are cooler than parents, so you find that there's always this sort of transition where everyone wants to try to be like their grandparent, and we're seeing this sort of like weird thing sort of happen as well in terms of like shit tins. Remember how they had a moment? They still, I mean, they never left, but especially in youth. Trying to have what their dad would drink, or our dads, which would be their granddad sort of deal.
Yeah.
I do wonder if this is going to go from like spritz to aromatic whites. Like from spritz to they, in like
Yeah.
18 months it dies, but suddenly they're like, oh, Riesling's really cool.
Yeah.
And then maybe taking out the added ingredients, re-looking at Prosecco's, Charmets. They're already very popular anyway.
Yeah. Or the kind of, the thing where you have a white wine and you just plop a little
Oh,
something into
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Not a jalapeno. I mean, could it?
We
could be
did
a
this.
jalapeno.
The jalapenos.
Jalapenos
Man,
and
I
man,
know
Turning
that's
on
a
that.
thing, but even like pop a slice of lemon or lime and a bit of mint into
Yes.
a glass of white wine, like
Yeah.
just kind of adding a little something. You take out the soda and it's still a glass of wine, but it's you're just adding a little something. Or
What about canned wines? What's your ideas on
I
canned wines?
haven't found a canned wine that I love.
No.
And I just, something about the flavor of it. Or it's also weird to drink a flat drink out of a can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah. You ever had water out of a can?
Have you had-
no, bizarre. But I can imagine it would be a mind fuck.
Kalpis is, if you're a fan, you've never had Kalpis before?
Kalpis.
Kalpis isn't water. Kalpis is liquid happy. You know how Kalpis,
But the
it's
other-
like that
I don't even know what
Japanese
that
drink,
is.
the white drink.
The
It's like
No.
liquid yogurt. It's fucking amazing.
Like a
Pretty niche. It's like Pocari Sweat, but like more niche.
Oh, no,
Super
never
Japanese.
had that.
not across.
There you go.
But canned wine as well, like if you're going to be successful in canned wine, you got to sort of make a decision. Are you serving, what's the smallest sort of can size that we're talking about here? Or are you serving, like Noah and I were at the MCG having Squealing Pig cans and it was all
Yeah.
watered down,
Yeah.
like wannabe
Shitty.
wine.
It's pretty shitty.
Is it the same wine that goes into your bottles that you're putting in your cans? Or are we switching it up? Is it your mass
So a lot of,
I don't know.
I also think, you're talking about drinking flat stuff from a can's weird. I actually think sharing shit from a can's weird. And so a can implies that it's an individual serve for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
100%.
But then have a look at the side of this can. It's like 2.5, 3 standard drinks. Like it's a lot of alcohol to have in one receptacle.
Yeah.
And there's been studies done and shown how, like, because we get conditioned as kids to drink at a certain rate, you can change the size of the can and what's in the can, but you can't alter the rate of consumption.
Oh, 100%. That's why I had
Yeah.
to stop drinking spirits when I went out, because like the idea of having
You'd
it
be on
doesn't
the
matter.
floor.
It doesn't matter
It's
how
not your fault at all.
it doesn't. It doesn't. One drink takes one drink's amount of time to drink. It doesn't
Yes,
matter how
correct.
many standard drinks are in there. So, like, if you
Yes.
hand me like back in the day, Long Island iced teas at the little pub ruined many a night for me. Then all of a sudden you switch to beer. Like, wine's a similar problem. Like, if I go out drinking, wine tends not to be the thing that I'll go out drinking. I want
Yeah.
to drink something that's mid-strength, and
Yes.
that'll be beers or blah 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 blah. But the idea of putting wine in a can, to me, I just don't see the use case for it necessarily.
We also have a big issue with, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, like, and specific to Australia, the taxation system on low alcohol. So the moment, if in wine specifically, if you go below 9% alcohol, it is now taxed in the excise system. You come out of
Right.
wet. So it's now based on the amount of alcohol that's in it, not
Yeah.
based on the value.
Right.
So it is effectively, it's around about 3.5% is where it sort of equilibrates. So it is cheaper for us as a producer to put a 9% alcohol thing in a can than it is for us to drop it down to a more reasonable lower. Like 9 is low alcohol in the sense that you're comparing it to something that's 13 or 14%. It's not low in
not
comparison
low,
to a
yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
So 3.5% single standard drink in a 330ml can would be the penultimate, but it would be excised, which means suddenly you are actually at a much higher price point and therefore less accessible than the jet fuel in a can that
Yeah.
so to speak,
Yeah.
that would be selling to people. So there's actually a legislative issue that is holding back low alcohol opportunities.
Question from the galley.
Yes.
Is this a hangover from the Alco Pops tax that happened in the kind of late aughts, early 2010s, where it's like heaps of people making high alcohol, spiritus, sweet stuff that kids were just necking.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Really dangerous. So there's that grey area there.
There's this, yeah. So the Alcopops tax in Australia certainly fueled it, but I think a large portion of it comes back to what, the same cohort and demographic. It was, the people calling the shots in the wine industry of a particular gender and demographic just did not want to see. In fact, the wet legislation and rules around what gets wet taxed and what doesn't is really specific about things like coolers. I was like, wow, that's an interesting, like the fact that an ATO bit of legislation says the word cooler. And you're like, then it defines what a cooler is. And it's like, clearly they just didn't like West Coast coolers. Like, probably got a lot of people into wine though.
Right.
People probably went West Coast cooler, Sauvignon Blanc.
And that's kind of where I sit with the spritz. Is if it's a gateway,
Great.
great.
Fantastic.
But it
I
needs
love
extra
it.
steps though, doesn't
It
it?
does. It does. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So when you reckon stuff like this, so this is something we make. Have you seen this before?
This is what I prepared earlier.
This is one I prepared earlier.
Literally.
Well, this is the whole point. Actually, do you have a...
yeah.
Didn't you have a corkscrew over?
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
there. You threw it to him. Beautiful.
And we had a bit of play around
I don't
because
think I've tried this before.
you've seen, no doubt, like the
Yes.
rise of all these limoncello spritzes.
Yes.
So talking about the gin industry
Yeah.
and how it's not going well, and it isn't. And
Is
of course,
is it not going well because there's now too many? Well,
It's good to have the ones that are over
Room temp, baby.
it's not going. We can get into the
Yeah,
depths
okay.
of why it's not
And
going well, but it's not going well,
tangent.
and
Yeah.
it's due to probably like 4 or 5 different things all concurrently happening.
great.
We were the first product we ever made was limoncello,
Yeah.
and it has no social media following, it has nothing, it doesn't have a social media page or anything like that, but it is like one of our most sold products ever.
Yeah.
And then Zonzo Estate came out with Zonzo Cello,
Yep.
which by the way is also a bit interesting because if you've had Zonzo's wines and then you've tried Zonzo Cello, there is a big quality disparity between the two. Like the wines have nothing.
You say so, bring it back. Well, that's in-house song.
Thank you. Thanks. If I lean
And
forward,
then, as gin dropped down, our limoncello sales went through the roof.
Yeah.
When absolutely, limoncello is having this crazy moment, and
It
we're
is.
quite realistic that is not going to last.
yeah.
I highly doubt it. I'll gladly eat my own words. But we jumped on board this bandwagon because, quite interestingly, there is a method that you can blend a wine and interpret the wet tax law to make that wet taxable. So that's actually a wine product.
Interesting.
But it drinks like an RTD.
But it drinks like an RTD, and I'm pretty confident the ATO is probably going to hook onto this at some point very soon, and we're going to see the death of a lot of these products. It's not bad.
It's fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Super drinkable. Like the Zoncello stuff, I'm the brand rep for this company here, so of course I would say it. But like, shit sucks.
I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was really good.
Tastes like grapefruits.
Have you had the pistachio one?
Pistachio.
I've seen it. I'm terrified of it. I just don't associate pistachio with that. Is it good?
It's something.
Enough said.
Enough said.
Look, it's interesting. I went back for more because in my brain I was like, this shouldn't kind of go together.
We tried years ago. We tried doing a spritz product, and I'm not sure if you would have been here because I reckon we trialed it on you with pandan.
Oh.
And that really didn't work. And it's really weird because in theory, because you're like pandan like ice cream.
Yeah.
The Asiatic aspect, and we were trying to do our own sort of imagine Aperol, but made from pandan.
Yeah.
More Asiatic as opposed to Italian. The problem with pandan is the association of pandan and the flavor of chicken. And every time that we were drinking this thing, we just couldn't stop thinking about like sticky chicken.
There's like chicken.
Like honey soy chicken. We're like, wow, dude. Like,
My problem was it was bright fucking green.
it was neon.
Green.
That makes it tough.
Yeah.
Here's what I reckon is going to happen with the spritzes
Lay it
in the
on
next
us.
couple of years,
Lay
right?
it
I think
on
it's like as we said, we've jumped into it, so we're making these limoncello spritzes like this. It is the flavor of the month at the moment. It's sort of taken over from Aperol spritzes a little bit in terms of that Euro summer sort of vibe. Everyone's like, oh, limoncello, the nonnas make it, blah blah blah. But once again, I think it's going to suffer a similar fate to a lot of other products that become popular and then people jump into it and it becomes a race to the bottom in terms of price point, which is going to end up in a situation where there's less interest and less diversity in the category because it's going to be a large body that can nail a price point that's going to demand that it is the thing that is stocked in various different places, and then people are going to move on to the next thing.
The arc that this is happening really quick as well. Like the ability for people to have almost like they call it collective consciousness, where we all kind of latch onto the same idea largely at the same time because we're now accessing all the same levels of inspiration all at the same time.
Yeah.
We did the same thing with gin in a can. Gin in a can, canned G&Ts. We're quite late to the piece, but we sort of figured out a really great recipe. It competed really well on flavour with the rest of the market. And then as we were pricing out and we were ready to hit like the go button on going and getting it made. And then it was like, wow, we'll be making about 10 cents a can on this, not even. So I call up a few mates who own other distilleries who do this, that, because we've been around for a little while, we're familiar and friendly with everyone, and we're quite open with everyone. And I was like, hey, gin in a can, like, not profitable, eh? And it's like, profitable? We've never been profitable with that. I was like, well, you've been doing it for 5 years. He goes, that's our marketing budget. And so suddenly you realise once someone decides to say, it's our marketing budget, then it doesn't really matter what it costs. They just set their price point to whatever is appropriate.
Yeah.
And it obliterates the market.
Out in the streets the other day doing meetings for wine, and there is, I was talking to a venue, and they are being offered Prosecco at $3 a bottle. Price point.
$3.
Italian Prosecco?
Yes. Italian Prosecco, $3 LUC. And it's just there's a specific reason, and it's to knock out the competition in the market. They're going to be making losses on it. But like how that's the part of the game.
If you're a bar owner, you wouldn't say no. The only reason you'd say no is based on some sense of like philosophical, like we don't need that.
Shout out to the person watching this. If you do end up watching this, the person who is the bar manager there, because you did say no. I appreciate that from you, dog. But yeah, like a lot of people won't be saying no to that because
we're in this economic downturn where we'll end up having a whole bunch of people take these kind of offers, and then afterwards we're going to have quality-based offerings re-rise again.
100%.
It happens every single
100%.
decade.
100%.
bounce up and down.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, it's a spot. But yeah, I love spritzes. They're delicious. But the gateway to them being the thing of them being a gateway to wine, for me personally, I've always thought about spritzes as in like the cocktail category. And like, I don't know if that's going to encourage people to go, because if you like spritzes, you like refreshment, you like a bit of bubble, you like some sweetness.
Yeah.
And there are wines that do that. But I think that the idea of then getting them into drinking wine via this as a category is a bit of a stretch.
I think it's a
Could
bit of a
be.
stretch.
It could be.
Because-
I live in hope.
Yeah, because like for me, this is fun, summertime, splashy, drinky thing. The
Yeah.
thing that is really fun and exciting about wine is storytelling and all of that sort
I think
of
that's
jazz.
that's how you get the next gen. At least in my opinion, is tell me a story. And a lot of the stories
Yeah.
around wine at the moment, I don't think young people A, give a shit, or B, are even compelling or relatable.
I feel I'm very mixed on this because I'm a storyteller. So, of course, I want to tell the stories, right? And I want you to sit and listen. But I feel like there's a split and I haven't quite figured out where the split is. But, like, there is a demographic of the youths that want the storytelling. They want to know your sustainability story. They want to know your origin story. They want to know your provenance story. But then there's also a demographic that just is vibing. And they does this wine go with my beach picnic?
Yeah.
Does this wine go with my pool party? Like, it's kind of, there's a split, and I haven't quite figured out the sweet spot of talking to both. I'm still very much on the storytelling train because that is what I do and that's what I love. And I love sharing stories of wines and producers and varieties and shit that's happening in Australian wine. But there is a demographic that's just like,
Give me this.
vibing.
Give me a drink. Yeah,
I
give
want
me a
to.
drink. I wanna
I'm
have
sitting
fun.
by the pool. I don't care if you have sustainable vines.
They
from
are the
fucking
story.
Yeah, they're creating their own stories around what's in their glass based on what they're doing. So it's occasional, and it's vibey. I know I keep saying that word, but that is very much kind of what they're about. So there is that other demographic that I haven't quite tapped into talking to. Because I don't know how they scare me.
It's super fair. The
You know?
youngsters, they have some level of they're not phased by,
Yeah.
like, I was scared of older people when I was young, but I don't know if that's still the case anymore. I think
No, I love the oldies. I'm
Yeah.
scared of the youths.
Exactly. Speaking of cool stories, just before we wrap up, because we've been going for an hour now.
I know. Sorry.
Fantastic chat.
We're yapping.
Shall we tell you a little bit about that wine there?
Yeah, so this is something that, okay, talking about like stories, I think a lot of people rinse and repeat stories, thinking that they're still going to work. I actually think there is a almost like blue ocean of amazing stories that don't get told in our industry.
Agreed.
And really searching to find those out. Hearing about like the Bleasdales, stories and stuff like
Exactly,
that. And there's
yeah.
stories within stories, etc. This one was a really interesting one that sort of tickled my sort of sense of
Tickled your
curiosity.
pickle?
Tickled my pickle.
Absolutely.
It started off with, drawing on various sort of little bits of information. Like I was overseas and learning about this thing called Piwies, P-I-W-I, which is a set of German words, like an acronym that describes a set of grape varieties
Never
that
heard
are
of it.
man-made. To combat the use of sprays.
Okay.
Because the European Union's starting to clamp down on a lot of these things, and so people are like, these are like disease-resistant varieties.
Love
And I was
that.
like, yeah, unfortunately customers don't. Like, they're not very popular. And I'll be honest,
Okay.
like
They're not
man-made... Sorry?
Not noble grapes.
They're not noble grapes, and also equally, like, man-made grapes have a funny history because, like, we actually do know of a fair few that are semi-popular or relatively popular. Pinotage being a big one in South Africa, Zweigelt in Austria, Saint Laurent, Müller-Thurgau, which is also, all of these grapes kind of have a reputation of being just a little bit shit. There's one in Australia. We actually had in the 70s this movement in CSIRO. They had a little bit of government funding. They made several grape varieties that were built for drought tolerance. And because it was done in the 70s and things go in swings and roundabouts and they come back in trend again, it's quite fascinating to learn that in the 70s they were trying to make a grape variety that would compete with Beaujolais. Imagine Beaujolais dry farmed in the desert is what they were trying to make.
Wild.
Yeah, which is right now we kind of like look at
Wild.
Beaujolais and we're like, dude, yum, Gamay rocks. I'm like,
Yes.
dude, we made the mega Gamay.
Yeah.
It already exists, but it's called Tarrango.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. We also like made a bunch of other really shitty named, like one was called Mystic.
Oh, I drink that.
Damn it.
Sienna's another one.
Sienna's another one.
Taminga was another one.
But yeah, basically the CSIRO have put their minds to it and they've gone, right, we're going to try and create this grape that's perfect for Aussie growing conditions. And they've brought together the who's who of Australian wine at that stage. So we're talking like the first families of wineries, and the connection that Brendan ended up making and we ended up going over to was with Brown Brothers. And, you know, Brown Brothers, obviously these days, they sell the most popular wine in Australia, which is their Moscato.
Moscato.
Moscato, I
think it's
believe.
their Moscato.
I think it's their Moscato. And we went over there and we sat down with Catherine, who's the current CEO, and got the opportunity to interview her father and uncle.
Amazing.
And they were one of the really early adopters of this CSIRO developed grape. So basically, you know, all of these different heads of the winery sitting in the room, and CSIRO is presenting, all right, we've crossed this with this, try that. We've crossed this with this, try that. We've crossed this with
Well, they
this,
didn't
try
cross
that.
anything with anything. It was actually, interestingly, as we dug a little bit deeper, it was just a guy called Alan.
Just Alan.
Alan.
Classic Alan.
Alan lived in the middle of Mildura, and he had 700 homemade grape vines out there, like as in crosses, out the back of his house. And
What
the
a guy.
redeeming
You gotta
feature
have a
that-
hobby. You gotta have a hobby.
Well, he did have a hobby. He had an amazing hobby. Once a week, he would catch a train to Melbourne for the sole reason to catch a specific train that runs exclusively from Melbourne to Mildura. And we were told this unsolicited by multiple people. Hey, Alan, real train guy.
Alan.
Really, really like trains.
Love trains.
Love trains, loves making random grape varieties in the back of his yard. Look, you know, probably had a few things going on up in the head. But interesting story to find that this is sort of rogue guy ended up creating this grape variety that for a short time, Brown Brothers were like making 700 to 800 ton of this stuff and selling into the UK.
Weren't they saying they were selling a shipping container every week, week?
Yeah.
Of Tarrango.
Of
Straight
Tarrango.
into Tesco's, actually
kidding?
competing with Beaujolais through the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
They built their current winery. Their current actual winery was built around how they made their Tarrango. So they have this massive, like really big concrete sort of pad, as in like it's massive. You know, you could turn semi-trailers, multiple semi-trailers around in this thing, mainly because all of it had to be, they were doing everything carbonic maceration, open air.
Right.
So they had to lay out all the bins. So like, dude, how do you put 700 tons of bins? So they just made more pad, just made more concrete and just, you know. So now they're not having like this amount of demand for Tarrango. They just have shitloads of space now. And so they still grow it, and it grows at ridiculous yield. It was like up to 50 ton per hectare.
Wait. What?
Yeah.
Can we buy it?
You can absolutely buy it.
What do you mean?
You
What
can
do you
absolutely
mean?
buy it. You can buy.
You can buy Brown Brothers Tarrango at any
BWS.
shop in the country for under $20.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never heard of it.
I've only recently re-noticed it because of
What the heck?
Do you have a glass there? No,
Yeah,
I can pour
gross.
some.
Oh yeah,
glass.
sorry. Yeah.
So this is a blend, like as in, not a blend, it's a crossing. It's a genetic crossing
Yeah.
of Touriga Nacional
Yeah.
and Sultana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the school snack.
Yeah, like the school snack.
Which apparently we found out is native to Australia. Like sultanas are a specific.
No, Sultanas. Sultanas, the naming is unique to Australia. Like
Pardon me.
Oh, I was gonna sneeze.
Yeah.
It's fine. Sorry.
So
I'm good.
we call them Sultanas. Sultana comes from Turkey. And they make wine from Sultana.
Like the sultan.
I mean, I'm sold on the color.
Right?
Crazy, right?
It's the same color as your glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like
Actually a
violet,
really good match, I'll be
purple.
honest.
So
Let's not do that.
we've,
What a gorgeous color.
having been over to Brown Brothers and having a chat about them, we got the opportunity to
Oh,
get some of these grapes. We carbonically macerated them, have brought them back over the border now, and made them into this really sort of light, juicy example. And in terms of the exciting thing for me as a sales rep is I now get to go out to venues and talk to people about the story of this wine.
Yeah.
And talking
And Alan.
about and Alan. And
Oh, what a guy.
Isn't it amazing that we were doing this? And now all of a sudden, you've seen grape bunches. Like usually a grape bunch will be this big. We've been to these vineyards and they are like 3 bunches will fill a
Actually?
bucket. They are
1.2 kilo bunches. Like they are just
insane.
Yeah.
Like bred perfectly for the conditions. So in terms of being able to, like, I literally had a meeting yesterday where I was like, this is the wine, this is what it tastes like, here's the story. And they're like, love the story, we will put the wine in the bar, because
Love that.
that's the part about wine that's interesting to those who are in the wine game.
yes.
It's about convincing people that those stories are interesting and then getting them to buy in by drinking it, I suppose,
100%.
is the challenge that we're all facing. But yeah, see what you think of Tarrango.
So this is really interesting. On the nose, it is so pretty. I just want to like dive right in. Obviously love the colour.
Mm-hmm.
Very grammable. Well done.
Thank you.
Is it a vibe?
It is a vibe. It's definitely a total vibe.
It's a vibe. It actually is surprisingly not fruity on the palate. In the same way that the nose is, you know?
Yeah.
It's textural, which I kind of wasn't expecting.
Quite fleshy, isn't it?
Fleshy, textural. It's got a little bit of like pithy bitterness to it. Really interesting. Oh my God.
Yeah. So the idea behind this whole project is, isn't it interesting that there is the closest thing that we've got to a native Australian grape varietal. It's something that was made for the Australian conditions, and being able to give a sense of ownership over Australian wine, because, you know, it's so long people want to pay the premium for the European stuff, but like the story of Australian wine is really interesting. It's why all of the wineries that can demand the prices that they can demand are in a position to do that. They weren't doing it back in the day. Like, that's only through the consistent history of the places that make it
100%.
worthwhile. This grape's got an interesting history.
It does.
It's fun.
And no offense meant, but this in a spritz.
That's a compliment.
Love that.
That's high
Love that.
Yeah.
Hello,
absolutely.
Simon, come back.
Yeah, come back. We need
Like this in a spritz, chuck some ice, chuck an orange,
Raspberries,
or some
strawberries.
rind and a strawberry in there, ice, a little bit of mint or whatever, or some cucumber, a grapefruit. Like just that would be unreal.
good base.
Yeah. Wow. And like, thank you for telling me that story, because Tarrango, who fucking knew?
Tarrango.
Well, there's
this
a
guy.
theory that Alan, who named it, really was saying train go.
By a theory, Brendan and I came up with this on the drive home. We were just like, hang on, dude loves trains.
I have another theory. I was named after Alan.
You were named after Alan.
Alana, Alan. Maybe we're related.
It's not bad.
Wouldn't surprise me. Do you like trains? Alana, thank you so much.
Train
for
go,
joining
chugga,
us
chugga.
Thank
today.
you for having me. Thank you for letting me yap with you guys. This has been amazing.
It's been a good
And
time.
where can people find you and all the wine musings of yours?
I'm doing my thing on Instagram. I am the Wine Wench. I love to talk about wine, generally Australian. I love to champion what we're doing here. I think we're doing some really interesting stuff, our makers and growers and communicators and all of that kind of stuff. We've got so much fun things, so many fun things going on in Australia, and I love to talk about it. And thank you for having me.
Cheers.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Linked in the description below. Catch you soon.
Bye.
This is Bottle
Bye.
Expected. Working title.
Working title.
Working title.
I think we just keep Bottle Expected forever.
Yeah.